Welcome back to Hedgehog Studios and Merry Christmas. I know it's a couple of days after, but had I got this up beforehand, like 12 people would have watched it anyway. So, last year we took a look at the Rankin Bass holiday special, Rudolph's Shiny New Year. This year, I thought we'd take a look at its sequel, Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. Hello, Penny. Released in 1979, this was the last outing of actress Billie Mae Richards as the voice of Rudolph. So, is it good? What's it about? Will it make more sense than Shiny New Year? Let's find out. So we begin with Rudolph flying in and greeting Frosty the Snowman, because this is a crossover and they darn well want you to know it. They chit-chat about the weather, and then we meet Millie and Chili, Frosty's children. Oh, yeah. Frosty got married in a different special and procreated. Don't think about that too much. That way lies madness. And 4chan. They ask Rudolph to do his signature party trick for the kids, but he's having trouble keeping it lit. And that's not a euphemism. Everybody gets sad, and we go to the opening credits. We get the reveals of the actors' names through Rankin Bass stop-motion whimsy, and they are some pretty big stars of yesteryear. Then Santa arrives to deliver exposition. Hey, what do you want? It's his off-season. So he tells us of the ancient ruler of the North Pole, the wizard Winterbolt. Winterbolt's power comes from his ice scepter. Write that down, everyone, it'll be important later. But after a long time of Winterbolt's terror, the Queen of the Winter Lights got sick of his crap and took on human form to fight him. But she can't just kill him or we wouldn't have a villain, so she puts him into the Odin sleep. Oh, no wait, this is a Christmas special. She puts him down for a long winter's nap. With Winter Jerk out of the way, the animals and the elves and eventually Santa repopulate the North Pole. After a time drained of power, Lady Borealis gives up her human form and goes back to being a celestial light show, which allows Winterdolf the Grey to wake up. And man, is he jazzed to see what's been going on while he was out. He looks into his mystic snow globe and sees Santa, and immediately is all, "What the hell? Not on my watch!" So he decides to go all Grinch and get rid of Santa. But coming up with a plan is hard, and dude just got out of bed. So he asks the genie of the ice scepter. Yeah, you heard that right. Wait. Winterbolt lives in an ice cave, has ice powers, and a big white beard. Dude, we get Finn and Jake in here, and this special's over like that. So the lame genie, who just dispenses exposition and doesn't seem to grant wishes, lays out the whole Santa thing. And how, thanks to the love of the children worldwide, power-wise he makes Winterbolt look like a chump. So Winterbolt is all, you know what, never mind the Grinch, I'm gonna pull a Jack Skellington, bribe the kids into loving me. But again, planning's just not his gig, so he asks the genie what to do. Which brings us full circle. That's right, we're going back to the beginning, baby. Genie tells him to have his snow dragons breathe up a foggy storm next year so Santa can't find his way. Winterdork then gloats that he'll give the kids twice as many toys, making them lazy and dependent on him. Winterbolt read Ayn Rand in college. Anyway, that's how he'll end up taking over the world. But the Aurora Borealis sees all, and Lady Borealis is like, oh wow, dude does not get Christmas at all. Still, I should do something about this. Since she doesn't have a lot of power left, she decides to use it to leave Santa something small to guide him on his way. Yep, that's right. Dun-da-da-da! It's Secret Origins time! Long story short, Lady Borealis is the one who makes newborn Rudolph into a mutant freak. Oh, and he can only use his flashlight nose for good and never evil, or it'll go out. So if Rudolph takes the quick and easy path, as Vader did... No, wait, that's Empire Strikes Back. Anyway, then one foggy Christmas Eve, blah 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 blah. So King Winterizer sees all this on his snow globe, and is all, red-nosed reindeer my butt, I'll get him next year. And thus concludeth the flashback, which was being told by Santa, but the special apparently forgot that, as we cut immediately back to Rudolph fighting his nasal dysfunction. Turns out the cause is Winterbolt up on the hill casting spells to put out Rudolph's nose. So with his nose failing, Rudolph feels awful and collapses. Frosty tries to give a pep talk, but really it's just reminding Rudolph that others depend on him, so it's really a guilt talk. But hey, it works. Rudolph finds his happy thought and lights his nose back up. Eat it, Winterbolt. Not getting why Rudolph is so powerful, Winterbreak heads back to the exposition genie. The genie tells Winty about the whole do no evil with your nose clause. No problem. I'll get him to do evil, Winterbolt figures. And the genie tells him, in the North Pole you won't. And Winterbolt's all like, no problem. I'll get him out of the North Pole. You know, I'll give Winterbolt this. He is brimming with unearned confidence. The genie tells Winty that Rudolph only leaves on Christmas Eve. But Captain Patience wants Rudolph to leave now. The genie tells him to look in his snow globe and he'll find the answer. Because the genie is sick of being the only one who comes up with plans, I guess. Do your own damn legwork, Winterbolt. So he sees a hot air balloon in the snow globe. But he has no idea what to do with that information. Now the balloon belongs to Milton, the flying ice cream man who keeps his ice cream at the North Pole so it won't melt. Because flying a hot air balloon to and from the Arctic Circle is clearly a much more economical thing to do than, say, buying a freezer. He's here to pick up a big load to take to the seashore for the 4th of July. Makes perfect sense. Frosty's wife shows up, and Rudolph introduces them all to Milton. Milton is depressed because he's in love with Lorraine, the high-wire act at the circus by the sea. Lorraine's mother owns the circus, which owes back taxes. Yeah, I know, this part is riveting. But stick with me for a tick. Milton and Lorraine were about to get married, like, imminently. But then this dude, Sam Spangles, shows up and he wants to pay the back taxes and take over the circus. You know, this part sounds like the setup for a Scooby-Doo episode. Anyway, this derailed the wedding, and thus Milton's depression. But if the circus can get a big crowd on the 4th, they can pay the debt, and save the circus, and get Milton hitched. You see where this is going, right? Winterbolt puts the idea for Rudolph to perform at the circus in Milton's head. Frosty seconds the idea, and Rudolph gives in to peer pressure and agrees. Then Frosty's wife Crystal says she'd like to see the circus, and the kids want to go, and the ice cream man is like, that's a great idea! But Frosty, who you might recall suffered the horrors of melting in his own special, is all like, oh, hells no! Crystal then sings about her love for Frosty with a recap of their life together. Okay, special, I'll give you that one. It was sweet. Rudolph wonders about a way to make them unmeltable. And poof! Winterbolt shows up like Gandalf the Grey, offering to help send Frosty and his family on an adventure. He has magic amulets that will keep them cool until the end of the fireworks display on the 4th. And then he buggers off. They go to tell Santa the good news, and Santa's all like, all-powerful benevolent ice wizard. Never heard of him. Have a great time. Frosty laments that his kids won't be able to get to see the fireworks. So Winterbolt puts an idea in Santa's head, and Santa says he could use a summer break, and that he'll come down and give Frosty and the fam a lift home at the last possible minute. What could possibly go wrong? So Milton takes the 4 snow people and Rudolph to the seashore, somewhere in the USA. They arrive at the circus and we meet Lanny Lorraine, the love interest, and her mom, Lily Lorraine, who is voiced by Ethel Merman, who during this special seems to be at her Ethel Mermanist. Miss Lorraine, the circus owner, is less than impressed with her future son-in-law. That is, until he introduces the magical weirdos he brought to save the circus. Then she fires her pistols into the air in celebration. This is the woman Yosemite Sam has been looking for his entire life. Meanwhile, Wintermint is putting another layer into his convoluted plan. He has the genie point him in the direction of the anti-Rudolph. He needs a reindeer who's a right jackass. So now we meet Scratcher, a reindeer that sucked so bad that Santa apparently exiled him. He blames Rudolph for taking his place on Santa's team, but he sucks so bad. Winterbolt is thrilled and hires him to destroy Rudolph. Back at the seaside, the circus is ready to open, and Winterbolt is sending Scratcher to find Sam Spangles. He's also ready to have his dragons blow up a storm to incapacitate Santa. This is a complicated plan that he's cobbled together. So Santa sets out on the morning of the 4th, and boom, storm. Without Rudolph, Santa and Mrs. Claus have to head to ground level and travel slow. Back at the seaside, the circus is having a parade. And I don't think I made this clear, but like the other 2 specials, this is a musical. And the parade is like the 3rd song belted out by Ethel Merman. I'll talk a little bit more about the music at the end. Now, I've got to give kudos to this scene. There is a lot of stop-motion stuff going on in this parade. Frosty is worried that Santa won't get here in time. Get used to it because Frosty says that a lot from here on out. Hey, Scratcher made it, and immediately finds Sam Spangles. What luck! We jump forward to a bit, and the circus is getting ready to perform. Scratcher shows up and spins a woe-is-me tale to Rudolph about how he hasn't eaten in days, and can Rudolph get him a job? Meanwhile, Winty is getting into his sleigh pulled by his team of rain snakes. And yes, that is as dumb as it sounds. Made even worse when you remember that he can just magically teleport. So the circus begins, and it's all fun and whimsy. Scratcher tells Rudolph that Miss Lorraine asked him to get something for her from the trailer. But it's dark, and Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you be duped into committing a heist tonight? Yep, the plan is to get Rudolph to use his nose to light up the trailer, then steal the revenue for the night. And then hand it over to a cop who can take it to a bank for a quote-unquote night deposit, but it will actually be Sam Spangles in disguise. So, nose powers, evil act, you get it. The circus has its grand finale, and they sing Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, which was a surprise, and it's not a bad cover of the song. Rudolph thinks something is up, but completes the circus grand finale using his nose one last time. Apparently it takes a minute for his nose to get the memo that he's committed an evil act. Now it's time for the fireworks, and Santa's a no-show. So they try, and then fail, to stop the fireworks. See, once they've started, they can't be stopped. As the fireworks continue, Frosty's time is running out. Sadly, they just don't have access to, say, I don't know, an ice cream man who might know where there's a nice walk-in freezer. Oh, and the fireworks are in live action. I mean, I can't begin to conceive of what it would take to do fireworks in stop motion, so I understand, but it is a bit jarring. Now it's time for it to hit the fan. Miss Lorraine goes to get the money to give to an actual cop, only to find they've been robbed. Meanwhile, with Frosty's time almost up, Winterbolt arrives, and offers to make the amulet's power last as long as Rudolph's nose doesn't light up. Rudolph is all, what are you talking about? And then when he tries to light it up, he finds the magic is gone. Rudolph doesn't understand, but Winterbolt goes full comic book villain and monologues the whole plan. Nose used for evil, gave the cash to Sam Spangles, Grand Theft Circus, blah blah blah. Rudolph says he'll tell the truth about what happened and clear his name, but Winterbolt's all like, oh, you're gonna keep your trap shut or Frosty melts. But take the rap for this, and Frosty and his family live. Frosty's not thrilled with this, but Rudolph takes the blame and is disgraced. Frosty's wife and kids don't want anything to do with him. Only Frosty knows the truth, but honors Rudolph's request to keep quiet. Sucks, don't it? So there's a bit of a logic breakdown here. The next night, Rudolph performs, instead of, having been told to take a hike because of the theft. And the crowd boos the magic flying reindeer because his nose won't light up and they demand their money back. But seriously, he can still fly. What the hell is wrong with these people? So, having lost his magic mutation, and his friends, Rudolph sings about his depression. Meanwhile, Frosty wonders if there's something he could give Winterbolt to restore Rudolph. And Winterbolt was watching when Frosty said this, because dude has gone full creepy stalker mode. Winterbolt asks the genie what Frosty has of value. The genie replies, oh, his hat is awesome. Here's a recap of his special with his theme song to catch you up to speed. So if you take the hat, you'll get rid of the one guy who knows the truth. And if you copy the hat, you can bring an army of snowmen to life and world domination, bwahaha. Back at the seashore, the Northern Lights talk to Rudolph and tell him to defend the helpless and be brave, and that the magic would return. So we have a last-minute loophole that just comes out of left field. And you know what? If it gets us to the climax, I'll take it, because this special is kind of all over the place. For example, Big Ben shows up. You remember Big Ben, he's the whale from Shiny New Year. While Rudolph is unburdening himself to Big Ben, Winterbolt swindles Frosty out of his hat. Big Ben comes up with a plan to keep Frosty from melting so Rudolph can tell the truth and get his nose back. But he has to go right now and doesn't have time to tell Rudolph the plan. The plan is to go get Jack Frost. He could have just said, I'm gonna go get Jack Frost. But no, that would have taken too long. Rudolph arrives back at the circus just in time to see Winterbolt with Frosty's hat, and Frosty condemned to unlife as an unmeltable run-of-the-mill snowman. So that's it. Rudolph's had enough, and he's going to kick Winterbolt's butt. But Winterbolt's all, aha, you gotta catch me first, and flies away. Yes, he can fly now. Why did he need the sleigh? Okay, let's just get through this. Winterbolt lures him somewhere up the beach, I guess. I don't know. And attacks Rudolph with his rain snakes. Ugh, rain snakes. Rudolph gut punches Winty and gets the hat back. And his nose comes back. Mission accomplished. Suck it, Winterbolt. So at the circus, everyone is crying about Frosty when Sam Spangles comes to take over the circus. But then Rudolph shows up with a real cop and the stolen money, because Rudolph went all Scooby-Doo on this. The cop gives the money back, clears Rudolph's name, puts Frosty's hat back on where it belongs, and arrests Sam Spangles. Everyone apologizes to Rudolph and wants to make it up to, and then Winterbolt shows up for vengeance. Miss Lorraine pulls out her pistols and throws them at Winterbolt, breaking his staff, which leads to the most horrific death in any holiday special. as Winterbolt becomes a dead tree. So with Winterbolt's powers gone, the weather clears, freeing Santa. And Frosty and his family melt, so it's a happy... No, wait, that's not a happy ending at all. Then Big Ben arrives from South America with Jack Frost, who refreezes Frosty and his family. Santa finally arrives to take Frosty home. Rudolph stays behind to help the circus get out of debt, and Santa gives all the animals his magic reindeer feed, so now all the circus animals can fly. Lions that can fly. Well, if that is not a horrific idea, thanks, Santa! So we end our special on a flying circus parade. And thus the Rudolph trilogy comes to an end. So, first the good. This company was the stop-motion masters of the 60s and 70s, and this special continued that. The animation was great, easily as good as the previous two specials, and in some areas really stood out for me. For example, the lighting on Winterbolt whenever he would talk to the genie with the pulsing light-up eyes. Just well done. Then there was the voice talent. The cast did a great job, particularly Ethel Merman as Miss Lorraine and Paul Frees as Winterbolt. I also want to mention the puppet for Scratcher. The way that they could scrunch up his snout, and you saw his ribs outlined on his side. I found all that very impressive. Now, the bad. The plot was kind of all over the place, and sometimes the characters had zero sense of logic. The music plays the hits, Rudolph, Frosty, Misfits, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, but there are also several original songs, and while some of them are sweet, I didn't find them to really stand out, and a couple I really could have done without. So, in the end, this one's obviously not as good as the first one, but that's the gold standard. I would say that it's almost as good as Shiny New Year. I think it probably could have tied Shiny New Year if they just tightened up the plot a little bit. That being said, I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. And that's that. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a Happy New Year. Please like, subscribe, comment, all those things that help a channel grow. And I will see you next time. Have a good one.